Hear ye, hear ye. I'm Dave Nelson, and on this 4th day of June 2014, I call to order this 12th meeting of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Let's commence with the roll call. Mr. Matt Stein, are you here?
Here, Dad.
Here, Dad, sir.
Here, Dad, sir. Here, Dad, Mr. Sir.
Brad Ludwig, are you here?
Present and accounted for, sir.
I don't see your hand. You got to raise your hand.
My hand was...
Oh, okay. I was looking at the doc. Okay. And finally, Anessa Moyens, are you present?
Sup?
Stop.
Oh.
Don't be all casual with me, Missy.
I was casual last week, and I will be casual this week.
All right, whatever. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. We need to introduce our guest. He's a returning guest geek.
Here.
Yes.
Here.
So
Here.
That's Gary Yap. He's an Emmy-nominated storyboard artist known for his work on The Simpsons and King of the Hill. And he is working on raising $5,000 for the Cancer Aid and Research Fund with the lastpodcast.com. He's also the creator, writer, and artist for the comic Ultraviolent. He can be found at GaryYap.com on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, Mr. Gary Yap.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay!
Am I the first person to do this twice?
Hang on. Gotta let the fanfare finish there.
We've got the discount fanfare running. Hang on.
Yes, Gary, you're the first return guest.
Cool.
No.
Awesome.
Is
No,
it?
I'm not? Am I?
No, we were going to have Bill Meeks back, and I think that show fell through.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
it. That's right. Yeah. Bill, we almost had our first guest back, but he couldn't make it. So, yeah, you are the first return guest, Gary.
Woohoo!
And you also have the honor of having the most views, YouTube views of any of our films.
There you go.
I'm out of here. This is good.
Mic drop done.
That's all we need.
Peace.
I wanted to go out on a high note. That's awesome.
Drop the mic.
So good.
Now, welcome back, Gary. It's great seeing you.
It is wonderful to be here. Dave, I wanted to comment. Last week I was doing what we would like to think everyone would wind up doing one day, which is when when the show starts, you have a bunch of people on the YouTube typing things and questions to you, or typing things on Twitter, trying to be interactive with the show. And I was called the show's stalker, so that was really nice.
I called you the guest stalker, not the show stalker. The guest.
Someone's got to be the stalker.
No,
so...
I said it in jest. I said it in a lighthearted way.
There was a lot of love in that statement, Gary.
Oh, I absolutely. I just thought it was funny because I'm sitting here going, wait, are we supposed to be doing this? Aren't I supposed to be?
Yes.
Listening live, trying to ask questions and all that kind of stuff. So.
I guess we're just not used to that. It doesn't happen enough.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since we've done live interaction with people.
Yeah.
Since we've come to the Google Hangouts, because we used to do this on a platform called Spreecast, and we had live chat and questions.
Forgot about that.
Since we've come to Google Hangouts, we've totally forgotten all about it.
Yeah, we have to get.
Got to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Hey, welcome to the show where we talk about the week's science fiction news, and we have a lot to cover this week, including more Star Wars stories. They keep on popping up. Before we get any further, we got to ask you, Gary, how is the fundraising coming for the Cancer Aid and Research Fund?
Slow and steady. Last time I was on the show, I think we were at 600 something. Now we're over 1,000. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, and it'll be had. It just takes time. Just takes more awareness, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you want to just touch on it briefly, how people can actually give to that?
People can give several ways. It's actually done through a GoFundMe account, and the great thing about GoFundMe is the money goes straight to the charity, and there's no deadline on it. You can have it open-ended for as long as you like, which I really like. And just people can donate freely, $1, $2. I have kind of a thing I've always said, which I should pursue a lot further. If every single person who followed me on Twitter donated $1, we'd kill it like that. Or you can contact me about commissions, working, artwork. A lot of the commissions, I put a percentage of all my sales into the GoFundMe account for the Cancer Aid and Research Fund. And yeah, it's May and June. I've kind of tapered off a little bit because I literally am still getting caught up with stuff from December and January. This is the month where I kind of bring everything to a close. In fact, I just was working on a commission today that was commissioned in December. That would be the oldest commission that I've had. And by the end of June, in theory, I should be caught up with every single commission. And then whatever the next round is that I hope to put towards the campaign, I'll go ahead and handle that. Then there's a lot of really, really, really cool things that are happening that I'm blessed or happy to be a part of that I can't really discuss right now, but I will discuss later on. But very, very, very cool things, very, very big things. So right now I'm just looking to wrap up the last of my commissions, get them all to the charity, and once July starts, good things will be going on. I can't say, but awesome things.
All right, awesome. Can't wait to hear more about it. All right.
Very cool.
Yes.
All right, and a not as good of a way to give money is to us. You have give money to Gary.
Well, you couldn't put a segment in between there, huh? You had to
Sorry. No. I will mention it later on, but you can go to patreon.com and support Galactic Netcast. Only $1, that's all we ask for. All right, so let's get into the meetings, or the minutes from last week's meeting. Brad, what did we talk about when the last time we met here on the Sci-Fi Geeks Club?
Well, last meeting we had our guest geek, the high energy and very interesting geek, Daniel Haidt, who is the author of the Flotilla series, and his second book, Iron Mountain, is out and available as well. Our first story was from Matt, and he spoke about some of the upcoming Jurassic World teasers and tidbits, things to expect in the next film. I brought to the table that humanity is now ready for suspended animation, and it's ready because they've developed a system that they are doing human trials for people who have a 7% chance of living, and they will use this on them to try to repair the damage and bring them back from animation and hopefully save their lives in the process. But that also has far-reaching implications to interstellar travel, which is the other reason why I brought it up. Dave brought to the table the 20th anniversary of All Good Things, which was the last Star Trek The Next Generation episode, had actually aired last week, this time 20 years ago. So it was a reminiscence of the two writers who wrote that episode and also wrote the movie Generations at the same time, and the madness that took place during that time frame for them. And last but certainly not least, Anessa brought to the table that Sci-Fi. I'm sorry, Sci-Fi is doing Sharknado Week to totally defile Discovery's Shark Week that they do, which is amazing and interesting. The Sharknado Week will culminate into a poo storm, as it were, which will be Sharknado 2.
The second one.
The second one. which is the name of the film, Sharknado 2, the second one, which will be
Are you serious?
Yeah,
yes.
it's Sharknado 2,
No.
the second one.
Matthew, you can't make that up. Sharknado was such a poo fest that they're going to follow it up with an equally interesting poo fest and give it a poo fest name.
But it was
See,
so bad. It was good.
I
I mean, that's the only way people know about this movie is because it was so bad.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
I think Sharknado 2 Pooh Fest would have been awesome. That would have been.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the name that won the Twitter contest. I believe you had a contest on
Wait,
Twitter.
it was decided via a contest?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Because it was such a huge internet phenomenon, they decided to let the internets decide what to name it.
And that's what the internet decided on, was the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of ashamed the internet. The internet was left to decide it, and that's
That's
what
what
that's
could come up with.
that's
Brainstormed on
the
that day,
winner.
apparently.
Yeah.
When you have a free and open internet, it's open to anything, any possibility.
yes, but bad horror movies are the best movies. I watched Psycho Cop this weekend, and the guy that I watched it with was like, "You got to find Psycho Cop 2 because you know they made it." And it turns out that Psycho Cop is Bob Vance from Vance Refrigeration in The Office. Made it even better. I recommend everyone go see Psycho Cop because there's really bad police puns while he murders people.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Oh, gosh.
My favorite, he says, "You have the right to remain," and then screams silent while he jams a billy club down their throat.
Nice.
Yep.
I imagine it's just as awesome as Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton movie, but the horror movie.
No.
Yes.
The,
Yeah, we know.
With
The
the
murdering
first-person
snowman.
point of view, with the white mittens going and strangling people. Missing Carrot in the shower scene.
I know what I need to watch next.
Oh, Lord. Anyways, I just want to
Moving
get this train back on track. It's been so derailed. But anyways, that wraps up the minutes from the last meeting.
Yay!
On a good note, I did go and purchase the 2 Kindle editions of your last guest's book.
So cool.
He had that great charity where you purchase a book and he would get a book to a kid, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wonderful thing, and I kind of encourage people to listen to the podcast to kind of get Daniel's take on why he was doing that, and I thought it was very, very touching and sweet what he's doing for the victims of abuse. So definitely a good charity, and check it out.
And for the price of the Kindle edition, it was like, what, $4.99?
Yeah, it was like
You
$4.
can't really go wrong.
Yeah, it's like $5.
You can't go wrong.
Don't eat 5 McDonald's cheeseburgers and buy Daniel's book.
There you go.
Problem solved.
Yep. Skip
Yep.
Starbucks.
Bring
one morning
happiness
and
to someone's life who probably really needs it for $5. That's pretty darn sweet. So
We should all be salespeople.
we should.
call now.
He got sales off the show. I think he tweeted like he got sales off the show.
Oh,
Sweet.
wonderful!
Nice.
That's great news.
That's good to hear.
That's very good news. So anyway, we got some juicy stories, don't we, Dave?
Stop rubbing your hands and
Oh.
talking about juicy stories. Just
Oh, I can't hear
weird.
Dave.
Dude, my hands are above the table, perv.
Well, I didn't say anything about the placement. I just said it was
Maybe-
creepy. I just hear
maybe
your
his
hands
hands-
rubbing in the background. Oh my god, you guys make
Okay.
me so angry.
Can I interrupt and say, are you guys ready for news stories?
That's what we were
Yes.
trying to do.
Yeah.
Let's
We were
get it
trying to
going.
keep things moving while you got your audio situation squared away.
Thank you very much. Matt, you're up first. What do you got for us?
Google made a car that drives itself, and it looks awesome. Actually, this was so. It's funny because Gary talks about how he likes to interact with us during the shows. It's mainly just him. The only time I go on Twitter is during these shows because Gary just sends me so many tweets. He's actually made me go back on Twitter, but he mentioned this to me that and I'd heard Google was making a self-driving car, and I didn't realize how far it had gone. So I looked it up, and it actually looks pretty nifty. It's currently only in California near their Google headquarters.
Yeah.
It can currently carry 2 people. only 2 people, but it has like full seats, legitimate seat belts because it has to adhere to laws and things like that. And it has 2 buttons, stop and go, which pretty funny. And they built it from scratch using sensors, and then the sensors connect to a central frame. And my favorite part is that the front of the car has like a smiley face on it. And I don't know, like they made some weird explanation for it, but I mean, it's Google. They can do whatever they want, and it'll be amazing.
Well, here's the reason why. This is my thinking: is they have to make the cars look, happy and welcoming, because when the machines come alive, become sentient, Skynet takes over, you're gonna want your killer cars to look friendly.
I, for one, welcome our new ant overlords. And someone, I don't know which one of you guys put it in there, but there was a video.
I did, yeah.
Oh, was you? Okay. But there was like a little old lady, and they're rolling it out, and she goes, "Look how cute it is!" And that's exactly why they put the face on there, for reactions like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The video that Google put together is they put together a quick promotional video. One of the people that took a ride in the car by himself was a blind person. That's the first time he'd been in a vehicle by himself.
And that's really cool that blind people will now be able to, because they are manufacturing these. I don't think there's any really solid date on, when you can buy one or where you can buy one, but they know that they will be manufactured in Detroit, but they have no idea. There's no public saying of who the exact company is that is going to be producing them.
Yeah, and they're not going to be producing them for individuals yet. They're only going to be making them for like companies, like for example, what's the? It's like a cab company, but it's not. Uber. They're talking about Uber, the Uber taxi.
Oh, okay.
Maybe using these, or similar situations. No individuals will be able to buy these yet.
Right. There is an absolutely phenomenal television show on HBO called Silicon Valley.
Oh,
I just watched the finale.
Yeah, it's a great show.
They incorporate a self-driving car into the storyline, and it is absolutely hilarious.
It's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. And speaking of The Office, Matt, you brought up The Office. The guy that played, I forget his character's name. He was the guy.
He was Gabe. He was Gabe in The Office. Yeah.
He's the unfortunate victim of this self-driving car gone wrong in this episode. Is really funny.
Yeah. Only if the first cab company is named Johnny Cab would I be totally on board for it. Total Recall. All right.
I love that movie, but we digress. They built a new frame for the cars, so the new frame itself has been untested, but the original frame, you might say, well, that's unsafe, you're going to get in an accident, and I was quite surprised to learn that the original model clocked over 700,000 miles, including 1,000 miles of what they consider the most complicated road situations. I don't know if it was ever in like full-blown California traffic, but it's still pretty cool that this thing can go down the street and it knows when to stop, and it knows not to hit things, and it knows not to drive into a ditch. And it also helps that it is limited to 25 miles an hour, which probably for the greater good, because it lowers the speed of a potential impact. But hell, if a car was going to drive me across the country at 25 miles an hour and all I had to do was sit there, sign me up.
Yeah, no, I know exactly how they're going to do this. They're going to do this. Google's going to do this exactly how they've been rolling out their fiber service, their internet fiber, very, very slowly and one city at a time. And I think they're going to start off with these cars that only go 25 miles an hour and are only available to like fleets, you know. And I think they'll maybe up it to maybe 35 miles an hour and start limited individuals will be able to buy it, and just kind of a gradual rollout to get people used to these self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it is also going to be it's going to work well within pre-existing communities. It's not necessarily going to be something that is going to be mingling with cars on the freeway as much as kind of similar to what they showed in Silicon Valley. It's more of a within the perimeters of the city, there is a Google car area that can take you here, there, kind of thing.
Mhm.
I think as tech companies grow, wherever they decide to start branding themselves as far as their locations, they can build communities around it, which is very, very popular to do. And started off like that, subsections all across the country, where they can experiment with these things in controlled environments to test them out first and foremost. So,
Yeah, and it's a proving thing too, right? I mean, I think
yeah,
the more they show that these things are safe, the more acceptance the general public will have, and the more they'll be able to offer them to just normal people and with higher speeds, you
Right.
know,
Yep.
someday. And also, I mean, this is going to be great. If eventually individuals will be able to buy these, blind people, deaf people, elderly people that can't drive anymore, people that can never drive. It's and impaired drivers. Let's go out and get hammered.
Mhm.
Google can take me home when I'm done.
But
You totally got Matt on board right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That's half the reason I don't go out, because I don't want to drink and drive.
Like,
Yeah.
totally faced and still get a ride home. Nice.
But you prove a valid point with the elderly, because like my grandparents they're both pushing 100, and like when they leave in their car, there is a fear for the safety of everyone they pass,
Right.
because my grandma has gotten on the highway going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like
Ooh.
she forgets. If we talk for 20 minutes, she forgets what we talked about. She forgets my wife's name, and we've been married for like 3 years now and dating for 6. So
Does she have
this is
Alzheimer's?
probably, but she's too stubborn to go to the doctor and figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that would be great, because then you have the peace of mind that they're going to get to the store, they're going to get to the hairdresser or whatever old people do, and they're going to get home and they're going to get there safe.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And I
the
can't
only
imagine.
time that.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well,
No,
I
I
was
was
gonna
gonna say. Go, Matt.
Happens.
I was going to say, I can't imagine these cars will be cheap, but I can't imagine they're going to be like luxury sedan prices. They will probably be like high-end, probably 30, 40 grand, because they're tiny. They look like a two-seater go-kart with a camera on top.
It's going to be a status thing. It's going to be like having an Apple product. It's going to be,
Yeah.
the cool people are going to have it. If you have the money to afford it, then go ahead and get it. And
Yeah.
even cool cats.
Yeah. No, I was just going to comment on the safety, because I remember hearing a few years back when they were doing a lot more testing that a driverless car had actually gotten into an accident, but it was because a human had taken control.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
these
it
things
was
are-
like the only time that it ever wrecked was when someone actually put it in manual mode and was like physically driving the car.
Yeah, these things
Can
have
only be attributed to human error.
Yeah, human
Yeah.
error.
So that was my really bad Hal impression. And
I'm afraid I can't do that.
yes.
All right, great story, Matt. Lots to talk about there. Let's move on to our second story of the week. Brad, exciting news from the world of comic movies.
It's one of those things that's slightly dubious. And the reason why I say that is oh, sure, my brain completely turned off. The Latino Review website, latino-review.com, has already got an exclusive first review of Guardians of the Galaxy, which isn't due out until the beginning of August.
Jeez.
August 1st.
And by review, it's a write-up of the first 2 acts of the film, which, I mean, basically, and I'm going to warn people now, we're going to have a link to the show notes. If you don't want to know what's, and I haven't even read the whole thing, I skipped to the very end where the actual review is, which gives away nothing. So if you want to go into this film knowing nothing, do not read the whole article. Just skip to the last paragraph and read only that. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. Just a snippet of that. The reviewer ends with, bottom line, it's not perfect. There are parts that drag, some action sequences that aren't as strong as you'd hope. There's some weird things that happen that don't seem to mesh up. But There is time to fix it because it's not due out until the 1st of August. And even if they don't fix everything, it's still going to be a very fun movie. So no matter what, the reviewer states that they will be in line the first day it is released. So
if the movie has the feeling of the trailers that they've released, it's going to be a really fun film.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking at the end of this review that you posted, and it says, unlike any other Marvel movie, it's a lot more comedic than expected. I don't know a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy, but doesn't it have like a much more lighthearted approach than a lot of the other Marvel comics? So isn't that kind of par for the course?
It depends on the writer. If you're going to compare it to, I think Dan Slott. I'm going to get my butt kicked by the nerd community on this. But I think Dan Slott is currently,
I know it's going to bother you because stuff like this bothers me, but you got to take it at face value because I have zero knowledge of Guardians of the Galaxy, other than the guy from Parks and Rec.
Keep talking. I'm going to grab something that pertains to the story right here.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Right. Free Comic Book Day, and this does tie into this. Free Comic Book Day, which was the first Saturday in May, had a Guardians of the Galaxy free comic book, and basically what that did, and it was written by Dan Slott, it starts with Tony Stark, and Tony Stark is asking someone to join the Guardians of the Galaxy and gives a rundown of who the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy are and where this particular person that he's speaking to fits in. The particular person that he's speaking to. See, and I've got some of those too.
This is the Guardians that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So when you talk about tone of the story, these were played very straight. There was very little humor in them.
Yep.
I don't know too much about the current incarnation, but it was a much different group when I was a kid, and it seems like a hoot. It seems like actually a lot of fun right now. I have not read a lot of the recent stuff.
And the stuff, and for those of you that aren't watching the video, Gary had an older, probably mid to late 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 77.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised I've kissed a girl. But what Gary had in his hand is a late 70s version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were members of. They were from the future, and they were different planets in our solar system that had been colonized, and like one of the members was Charlie 27, and he came from Jupiter, and so he's very short and squat from the tremendous gravity.
Yeah.
God, that's really sad that I remember that. But he's really short and squat from the gravity, so in Earth's gravity, he is ridiculously strong. So now we go forward in time, and they've completely changed who and what the Guardians of the Galaxy are, and it's kind of a ragtag team of all these different aliens, plus this guy named Peter Quill, who is actually from Earth and is kind of abducted from Earth as a child, and comes to find out later on that he does have a parent who was an alien, and that plays into his backstory a bit more, and we're going to see that in the film.
Right.
So,
and again, even Starlord was not necessarily a comedic character. He was a very straightforward character.
And Dan Slott is one of my favorite comedic-styled Marvel comic writers. He did Single Green Female, which was a series of She-Hulk comics that he did in the early 2000s. He wrote Great Lakes Avengers not too long, well, probably about 5-6 years ago now. So he's done a lot of, and these particular stories were comedic, and that's his strong suit.
I think. Don't you think? Because this group is not as known than other comic book characters to the general public, that they are better off kind of taking a comedic slant on this?
Yes and no. I would argue, there's been they've just finalized a director for Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is very few people know about him. Very cool character, cool concept. but not an A string or B string character by any stretch of the imagination. But that has to have a more serious tone. I would almost put it into, depending on how they run it, it would have to be like supernatural mystery or supernatural adventure with just a hint of horror, I think, to really make that go. So it fits for the types of characters that you have for the Guardians of the Galaxy to make it comedic, and James Gunn is the master of doing things like Slither. Slither is a great sci-fi horror film with you've got Nathan Fillion as your lead character. You've got
oh my God, what is his name? Walking Dead. His Merle. Mallrats.
What?
Michael Rooker. Michael Rooker.
Yep.
Yes.
He
was in Slither. Very good in Slither.
And Elizabeth Banks was in Slither. So I mean, he takes all these wonderful sci-fi tropes and things and makes it into a very uncomfortable dark comedy. So he was a great pick to helm this film of Guardians of the Galaxy. So. And Dave, we've lost your audio.
Again?
Again, come on. Give the man a break. It's all right. So anyways... it
was my fault this time, sorry. Go ahead.
So, yeah. Long story short, we're going to provide you with the link to check in the show notes. If you don't want it wrecked for you to see what's going to happen in the first 2 acts of the film, for the love of God, just skip to the last paragraph, read what he's got to say, and close the window quickly. But no, this just kind of reaffirms that it's going to be a decent film.
And Latina Review, by the way, they have the inside scoop on a lot of stuff. They seem to break a lot of stories, so they are to be trusted. If you're curious, I mean, if you're doubting the validity of them, I wouldn't. They've got a pretty good track record.
Oh, and just briefly, in a related note, supposedly, Jared Leto has been.
Oh, I love that guy.
Rumored, but he would be supposedly rumored as possibly playing Doctor Strange in the Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, I have such a man crush on Jared Leto.
I would totally go see that film because he is a very, very interesting dude and a very good actor. So.
All right.
I really like his band. There, I said it.
30 Seconds to Mars. Boom.
Yeah, I went and saw him in concert once, and myself and the singer of our band were the only people over like 5.5 feet tall. It was awesome. It's the only concert I've ever been to where I could see over the entire crowd.
That's awesome. Because anytime that I ever went to a concert, I was always behind tall people.
Yes, and I'm like 5'10", so I'm not short, but there's always like a 6.5 foot tall guy that just stands in front of me no matter where I go.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you like that band, given the type of music that you usually listen to or play, Matt.
You'd actually really be surprised. I don't want to say in my old age, but the older I get...
Matt is a very complex person.
I branch out a lot. There's
with diverse musical tastes.
Yeah, my wife and I went and saw City in Color. That was actually our wedding song, and that was my idea to have that song.
Really?
But yeah, he was in the band Alexis on Fire, which was heavier, so I was more up my alley. But the singer of Thwaites, who used to be heavy, started just acoustic, and he's one of my favorite guys as well. I could talk about music all day, and you guys know that, so we should probably move on.
Okay.
So Dave, what's your story?
We appreciate the input.
Yeah.
Thank you, Inessa. Star Wars news. This is a first, I believe, on this podcast that we've ever talked about Star Wars Episode 7. I believe. No, the news keeps on coming out, and this week we have a couple of things. First, new cast members announced: Lupita Nyong'o and from Game of Thrones, Gwendolyn Christie joining the cast because. As you recall, when they first announced the cast of Episode 7, it was light on the women, but now it's not. They've added 2, so there you go. The pair's involvement in the J.J. Abrams directed sequel, which is currently shooting at London's Pinewood studio, was confirmed through the official Star Wars website on Monday. Nyong'o won a Best Supporting Actress Academy Award earlier this year for her role in 12 Years a Slave. And Christy plays... how do you pronounce that name? I'm not a Game of Thrones person. Hello?
Yes.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
Okay.
neither am I.
I am totally.
Really?
Yes.
Get on there.
Yes.
How do you pronounce that name?
Okay, I'm looking through the show notes. I wasn't following along with the notes. You know,
Okay.
Brienne Tarth?
So,
Is it Brienne?
Brienne?
Brianna?
Brianna?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow, what a
I know
dumb
exactly
way to
what
spell
character
that.
is. Yeah, I know exactly
Like
what that character
Brienne?
is.
Brianna?
Get out of it. Get out of here.
She's like 6'7" or something.
Yes, she plays quite the ass kicker in Game of Thrones. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
So she's also in the upcoming Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, so look for her there as well. So I think they've balanced the cast out with these two additional cast members. So we'll see what they play in Episode 7. And then the second part of the story is images have leaked, including the Millennium Falcon will be in Episode 7.
I saw that on Reddit, actually.
Was
Yeah.
there any doubt of that? Is that really a shock to anyone?
Well, I mean, we knew that the original cast would be in it, so it makes sense that the Millennium Falcon will be back as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm guessing that it's not going to be as well. It was not. It was in disrepair for all three of the first movies, right? So
Right.
it's probably going
It's
to.
in a constant state of disrepair. That's the charm of the Millennium Falcon.
So it's going to be even worse now. It's like 30-some years after the original story. So
Right.
also in the pictures, it shows an X-wing fighter, which is pretty cool, and this. All this stuff, it's amazing what they do with wood, because all this stuff is made with like plywood, and it's amazing how they can make something out of plywood look so real, look so metallic and like science fiction-y and that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
But
Movie magic?
Yeah, movie magic. That must be it. And the final thing I wanted to mention was, and this is thanks to now I'm drawing a blank. Longtime listener of Galactic Netcasts, Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of tipped us off to a story from the Bad Robot Twitter account. That's Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams' production account. Posted a picture of, I think, the Millennium Falcon. I'm not sure, but the note on it says, I wish people would stop leaking photos from Episode 7. What else does it say? And
making ridiculous claims that the Millennium Falcon is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the reason why that particular photo is so important is that is the basically the chessboard that you played the game on, the holographic sort of chess game on.
Okay, I wasn't
Let the
sure.
Wookiee win.
All right. Okay. That's awesome. It's so cool. Just think if you were like a fly on the wall in the during the filming of that. Oh man, that'd be awesome. I would love to be that fly until
there seems to be a lot of what's wonderful about this is there seems to be a lot of practical effects, physical effects he's bringing to the game, and not nothing against what Lucas did for the last three, but it was the last three were so clean and crisp. They looked almost like too pretty, too perfect, like a video game. And there seems to be a grittier, it's cute the way he and I'm sure you guys have already talked about this. He did the on location video with the creature that walks by. Deliberately. Abrams is really. I'm not really sure there's anyone out there better at baiting the internet crowd. He's been doing it for years. He knows how to leak certain things, websites, whatever he does to always just get people talking. He knows how to keep people interested in a project while he's doing it. I mean, everything, even like like Brad said, the fact that he put the note, it's a very strategic move to put the note on that chessboard, because people will see that and they are waiting to pick apart every single little tiny detail with everything is leaked. And he's very smart, and he understands that, he knows that, and he's very, very good at it.
Yep. And this is just kind of a nod to say, hey, this is something I grew up with too. I care about and respect what was done, and I'm going to pay attention to the little things.
Yes.
And that's really what this was kind of a clear message, at least my interpretation of it. He's going back to what Gary was saying. Enterprise rubbed me the wrong way because it chronologically happened before Next Generation, or I'm sorry, obviously
Original
before Next
series.
Generation, but before the original series, and it was clean, it was CG, it didn't have that feel. And seeing what Abrams is doing here, going away from what happened with the episodes 1, 2, and 3, where everything was clean and looked better than 4, 5, and 6, to actually do practical effects, to go back to do what they did in 4, 5, and 6, do it better, but still keep the look and the feel of what's come before.
Right.
And also, other pictures that were leaked within the last couple of weeks are the set pictures from, I don't know what country that was. You remember what country that was?
I know that they were shooting in Dubai, and they've got the studio in England.
Yeah, it was Dubai. It was the desert pictures, and it was very much Tatooine. It had to be. There was no doubt it was Tatooine.
Yeah.
And I saw one picture, and it looked very much like it could have been Luke's home from Episode 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's definitely throwing it back to the original first 3 movies with the practical effects. And yeah, but we have to remember, though, that J.J. Abrams can fool us, too, because he said for the longest time that the villain in Star Trek Into Darkness was not Khan. So be careful, too. Be wary of what he says.
And I know that recently he said he regretted the way that worked out. He should have probably been a little bit more straightforward on that, and it might not have had some of the backlash that it seemed to have gotten when the movie finally came out. So,
Is there anyone out there who really doubts that he'll do a spectacular job? I feel it's in very, very, very good hands.
yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's very good.
Cool.
And by the way, on the Abrams note, since being on the show last time, I did see Into Darkness. I actually enjoyed it very much. So there you go. I got caught up on stuff.
Thank you, Gary. We appreciate that. Taking one for the team. All right, I'm sure that we'll have more Star Wars news next week. Anessa, you've got the fourth story, right? Fourth story.
I do have the fourth story, and a full trailer has come out for the sci-fi movie The Giver. I watched the trailer, and it made me think of Pleasantville mixed in with Equilibrium. Very much so. The Giver is directed by Philip Noyce, who did Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, and adapted by newcomer Michael Mitnick. And it's the haunting story adapted from Lois Lowry's young adult book of the same name. And it centers on Jonas, who lives in a seemingly ideal, if colorless, world of conformity and contentment. Not until he is given his life assignment as the receiver of memory does he begin to understand the dark, complex secrets behind his fragile community. Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep also star in the film, and it'll come out on the 15th of August, and that's from firstshowings.net. It looks pretty good, but at the same time, like if you've seen Pleasantville, you have this world that's just gray. It's in black and white. And it's once they discover sexuality and whatnot, and everything dirty, that color starts to come out. And with Equilibrium, and this is like the comparison that I'm making as to why I mentioned the two. And with Equilibrium, you have a society that's basically eliminated war, but at the same time, they've drugged everyone where they don't have emotion, and don't want to argue or anything like that. Because there's no fire, there's no passion. And it feels like a very similar setup, like a mesh between the two movies into this one world. And so this kid in the trailer essentially he's curious, and because someone said like, oh hey, like why don't you ever fly out past a certain point? And he's like, we're not allowed to. So he goes exploring, and he ends up discovering that there's more to life, there's more to the world that he's living in. And as he's learning this, you end up with the color returning. He's starting to see color in everything. So it's very much a Pleasantville meets Equilibrium sort of vibe, but
sounds like there's a little Logan's Run in there too, even kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So, I mean, I'll probably end up watching it. I don't know if I'll actually see it in the theater. Certainly as a matinee, maybe, but
it kind of makes me sad to know that they ripped off Equilibrium so hard, because Equilibrium came out with The Matrix, so it was really brushed under the rug. But he used a lot of the same kind of like, high-tech, fast-moving action sequences. But the story itself was one that you had never really heard of before. So the fact that they're doing something similar kind of makes me butthurt at the idea of going to see it.
And
so that will probably not be. Well, you could go see it, and then you could, talk crap about it. So
didn't we do Equilibrium for the Sci-Fi Film School?
We did do it for the Sci-Fi Film School, and I really enjoyed the movie. And so when I saw this, I was like, Equilibrium.
There was some great. We got some great audio clips from that movie. I remember. I don't have them anymore, but I remember getting them.
Yeah. I need to go back and rewatch that movie and make Brad watch them too.
I've never seen Equilibrium. Now I have homework. So okay.
Come on, movie to watch.
Well, I since last time I saw Into Darkness, which I was gonna see no matter what anyway, and I started Doctor Who on Netflix. So
nice.
I do my part. I try. Damn it, I try.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, I can't get into Doctor Who no matter what. There's a lot of things that we've talked about that I will watch. Like we watched Man of Steel on Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was decent, but I wanted more. I started to get bored towards the end. But my point being is, there's a lot of things that we have talked about that I will openly go watch with an open mind because you guys plead a good case. But Doctor Who, I just can't get behind.
What about it? You don't like about it?
Well, you made me watch that one show for the Sci-Fi Film School.
You made him watch Rose, the first episode.
Yeah, and it just didn't tickle me the way I wanted it to. And that's not saying that I'm not going to go back and watch it, but currently I'm more interested in watching the Battlestar Galacticas that you guys had talked about, which is in my Netflix View Instant Queue. I just... go figure, I have less time now that I'm done with school than when I had while I was in school.
Yeah, of the two, watch Galactica.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of that 70s show, too, because, they're 20-minute episodes.
All right. So, The Giver. When does that come out again?
August 15th.
All right. I remember seeing an early trailer for it, and it didn't. It seemed.
Wasn't there a trailer in front of Winter Soldier? I remember a trailer for it.
Oh.
I thought it was a futuristic movie. Meryl Streep was in it. Jeff Bridges was in the trailer. And I thought it was before Winter Soldier.
It might have been right before I walked into the theater, though.
Okay.
I think I missed that trailer.
Gotcha.
I think it was.
So.
All right, cool. All right, so Gary, you're the last person, and you got some kind of surprise for us, right?
I thought I'd do something nice. While it probably might also seem a bit self-serving, but what the hell, I'm going to do this. So the very first, so back in the early 90s, the very first comic job I ever got was to ink a pinup for an independent comic book called Tommy and the Monsters. And the comic was written by Brad, Gerard Jones, and Will Jacobs.
I'm embarrassed, actually.
And Gerard Jones, for those who don't know, he at one point, not anymore, but at one point in time, especially late 80s, all through the 90s, he was one of the most prolific writers in comics. He had his own series like The Trouble with Girls. He did stuff for Malibu. He did all the Green Lantern stuff for DC. Yeah. I mean, he created El Diablo for DC. He was very, 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 very active in the comic scene. And he wrote this little book called Tommy and the Monsters, him and Will Jacobs. And I got the chance to ink the inside of it. But it was going to be turned into a miniseries. And the neat thing is they hired me to ink that miniseries. It's going to be a 3-issue miniseries called Monsters from Outer Space. And it was going to be penciled by David Antoine Williams. Google his name. He's a phenomenal artist who works for DC nowadays. And I was going to be the inker. Now, as we're gearing up to do this 3-issue miniseries, for whatever reason, which I'm still not sure to this day, Dave couldn't do the book. I don't know if he got another project or something, but he couldn't do the book. So Gerard, they turned to me and said, "Do you want to pencil it?" Now, I always think I'm a better mechanic. Like I'll ink and color. I like doing all that stuff. I never feel strong as a penciler. But what am I gonna say? No. Sure. Why not? I'll pencil the book too. And then they go, well, you have really nice handwriting. You can letter it too. I said, sure, I can letter it too. And keep in mind, this is back in 91. So you didn't have there were no computer lettering programs. You lettered by hand, and so my very first comic assignment went from being an inking assignment to suddenly being a penciling, inking, lettering assignment. Oh, by the way, we also need you to do the covers and color code them. So talk about being really thrown into the deep end of the pool. Yeah. And I'm not a very good swimmer at all. But so I did these books, and I was very, very happy with them. They're not polished. They are obviously work from 91, 1990, 1991. I've obviously, hopefully, evolved a lot as an artist, but in this day and age of Marvel digitizing their library and DC digitizing their library and Comixology and every single comic being available online, a lot of the smaller companies like Malibu, Eclipse, Adventure, their libraries are kind of lost to the wind. And you're not going to see Eclipse comics on Comixology anytime soon. But I figured I'd take it upon myself. There were a few projects I worked on earlier in my career that I put a lot of myself into. So damn it, I'm going to find a way to just put them online. So what I did was I took the very first issue of Monsters from Outer Space and I put it online. And what I did was I fast-tracked this. I started doing it piecemeal 3 months ago or so. And when I had the opportunity to be on this show again, I fast-tracked it because what I wanted to do, since it was science fiction-related, Monsters from Outer Space is a science fiction-related book, kind of along the lines of if Day the Earth Stood Still actually happened, this is the world as it exists now. And I went ahead and I put it up, and I wanted to release it tonight, and it is dedicated. I will screw this up somehow, really, really bad. But I wanted to let you guys know that it is online right now. I'm gonna make it hot as soon as this podcast is over. But it says originally published December 1992. Writers and creators Will Jacobs and Gerard Jones dredge up memories of every piece of late-night sci-fi silliness they've seen, then throw in some fine comic dialogue and extrapolation for an amusing piece of nonsense. Naive young lad Tommy is exploited by the capricious hero Space Fargo, a man with a secret, as the pair tried to expel the aliens who conquered the Earth decades previously. And I put on the bottom, this issue number 1, which I have digitized and put online, is dedicated to Matt, Dave, Brad, and Anessa at the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Aww. For more visit www.galacticnetcast.com.
Dave,
Because of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, I wanted to dedicate the first issue of Monsters from Outer Space, which is now available online, to you guys for being so awesome to me. I will tweet it on my timeline, and maybe you guys can read it. And it, like I said, it's not. It's back when all the independent books were black and white. So it's a black and white book. It's not the most polished piece of work, but at the time I was working on it, I can guarantee you I was putting my heart and soul into that thing. There are tons of cameos from different that I drew in of people from that time period. I got to play with a lot of sci-fi familiar tropes. There are 2001 monoliths in there. There are and the first one, the first issue, which is called The Shambling Horrors, are about radioactive geeks who have been taken over. And it's Will and Jerry did such an incredible job on it, and it did okay. Malibu at the time was a division of, Adventure Comics, which put it out at the time, was a division of Malibu, and Malibu at the time was being bought by Marvel. So it got a little bit of exposure, but it didn't get that big thing. But like, I didn't want it to remain lost in the wind. Just one of those things, just never ever see anymore. It's the day of the internet. You can put everything up there, and I put the entire first issue, #1, up there, dedicated to you guys. I want to thank you guys for being so awesome to me and letting me talk about my charity and letting me talk about stuff that'll hopefully make a difference. And so this is my gift to you. I will tweet it. Like I said, I will tweet the link to it after the podcast when I'm a little less scatterbrained. But that is it's not as much of a story as much, and you know, I realize in retrospect, you might be sitting there going, this was just all to put over your own work, you selfish idiot. No, it was to dedicate to you guys, like this whole thing.
No, dude, this is
awesome.
That's incredibly sweet.
That's
anybody's ever done for us. So thank you, Gary.
My inner comic nerd is exploding right now and is passed out on the floor over here somewhere.
No one cares.
No, God.
Comic nerd. How about my childhood Simpsons erection?
No, I mean the black and white Malibu, the Eclipse. I mean, that's stuff that when I first started realizing that there wasn't just Marvel and DC.
Right.
I mean, I could go back into, well, actually they're not behind me anymore, but I can go back and probably dig through and find all sorts of crazy stuff. Like I've got the original Evil Ernie from the first, I've got the originals when they first came out. So I mean, that's when I started realizing that there was more to the comics world. So that's really, really frickin' cool, Gary. Thank you so much. That is so wonderful.
Can I ask you, Gary, what's the process of getting something online that wasn't before? What do you do?
Oh, well, you know, obviously I have the book, the physical book. I got my little scanner right here. The company that I go through, everybody who does webcomics or their own comics, everybody has, you know, there's tons of different webcomics sites out there. The one I like is called Tapastic. That's where I host all my web stuff. The only reason I chose them, and this is a whole other conversation that's not necessarily for now, but when you're webcomics, it's all about the formatting. How are people reading it? Is it user-friendly? Is it not? This is the stuff that Comixology is still figuring out. You know, Tapastic seems to have a really good system where I can scan it, I can upload it, I can fix whatever I have to fix, and just put it out to the world. They also specialize in other languages, so you have a broad spectrum of other countries also visiting it. There's a translation program for the webcomics. But Tapastic is the one that I like. That's where Ultraviolet is hosted. They even if you do enough work, they have a wonderful pay program. That if anyone was ever thinking about doing a webcomic, I would suggest going through there because you actually can make money from your webcomic provided you maintain it regularly and become a regular contributor there. I spent the last probably 48 hours digitizing the last half of the book because I was doing it real slow, real piecemeal. But then when I got a chance to do the show, I was like, oh, I want to get the whole issue up, and so I can announce the whole issue for you guys. So it's really nothing more than scanning, fixing certain things, and fixing your blacks and your brightness levels and that kind of thing, and then just kind of putting it up there.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys.
All right.
I made my night.
Yeah.
Might as well end the show on that note.
We're done.
Hang it up.
I do have a couple of announcements before we get out of here. We have two big guests coming up. Speaking of webcomic artists, I've been a follower of this guy for a long time. His name is Scott Johnson. He is the artist for the Extra Life comic. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Gary. It's very funny.
Okay.
A two-panel comic that he does, puts out maybe once or twice a week.
Okay.
He's also a podcaster, and I've been listening to his stuff for the longest time. We're going to have him on mid-July, and then in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have this guy. He's a magician. His name is Brian Brushwood. He's a fire eater, and he pounds nails through his tongue and all kinds of crazy stuff. But he's also a podcaster, so we're going to have him on in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited for both these guys because they were kind of my inspiration for starting the Galactic Netcast. So
really,
yeah. So be subscribing to our show, and you will get some great guests coming up, along with Mr. Gary Yap that we had tonight. So stuff to look forward to. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Before we wrap up, though, Matt, do you have an update on the Galactic Netcast, What We're Watching Weekly Summer Movie Draft? How are things going with that?
At this point, I think we can just assume that you and I are still in first place, which is true. We are in first place with $654,433,763. Team What We're Watching Weekly has $407,218,049. And Brad and Anessa get a participation award with $274,167,890.
So,
you know what, Matt? Your mom gets a participation award. How's that?
Shirley Stein is a saint.
No, I had a question. I don't remember who ended up with Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, that was What We're Watching Weekly, and they took what movie did they take in its place? I forget now.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Jupiter Ascending got postponed to February of next year.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, where the hell is this? Think Like a Man 2? That exists.
Was it
different movie?
Was it Tammy?
Yes, I was gonna say Tammy's in here, and
I don't remember.
I don't remember seeing that. Yeah, so Tammy, must have taken its place. Earth to Echo, I don't remember that one either.
That's it. They took Earth to Echo. That's the one.
Okay.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've seen the previews for Tammy, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. So Friday, Edge of Tomorrow, and The Fault in Our Stars is coming out. Brad and Anessa, Team Hondo have Edge of Tomorrow, and Dave and I have The Fault in Our Stars.
I think we're gonna win. I think.
I've been seeing the previews for The Fault in Our Stars, and I now understand why you wanted it so bad. That is going to be the summertime hit with 14-year-old girls.
Yeah, no, and it's a lot more broad of an audience than Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow is very specifically sci-fi. It's too bad. I mean, it's a great movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I'm pretty sure Fault in Our Stars is going to get a bigger audience this weekend.
Probably.
All right.
What other way are we going to stay in first place other than demolishing the competition every week?
Yep.
There is that.
Sorry, Brad.
You know what? I don't care because Gary dedicated a frickin' comic book to the show.
Everything that happens from here on out, don't even care.
Your jabs, your jests, I don't give a crap because
rolling off. That's all it is.
My comic book nerd is passed out on the floor. Like I said, I can't even talk. I'm so frickin' jazzed.
If you want to follow along with us and the summer movie draft, go to galacticnetcasts.com. Also, while you're there, go to the subscribe page and subscribe to this show and our other podcasts via iTunes or via Stitcher Smart Radio, or have it come to your email. That's an option as well. Search for us on iTunes and give us 5 stars if you will, and subscribe, of course. And then leave us feedback, galacticnetcasts@gmail.com, or our voicemail number is 805-328-3966. We're on Twitter, Google Plus, and Facebook as well, so follow us there. One more time, Gary, how can people contribute to your charity?
Visit thelastpodcast.com. Follow me at GaryYap.com. GaryYapdotcom. And everything you need to know is right there.
All right, and follow GaryYap.com on Twitter, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you'll get the link. You're going to be putting out the link to the
comic. The link is ready to go. I'm looking at it right now. As soon as we're off, I'm gonna go ahead and make it hot and launch it. So.
That's so awesome.
That is awesome.
Gary, thanks for coming on too.
No, thank you guys. As always, it's nothing but an honor.
Shut up!
It's so weird to say something nice and have you all giggle. It's just.
No, it's one of those things where.
So yeah, like Brent said,
the way I view it is you guys have a platform. And the platform can only get bigger. The more guests you have, the more topics you tackle. And this platform can get a variety of conversations started, messages across, do good, get people talking. And it's a wonderful thing. And the fact that you give someone the chance to be the 5th chair and to contribute, it's awesome. Just like last week when he put out his charity, and I helped out. I mean, this is all a good thing. So I do think it is absolutely an honor. It really is. You guys let me come on it. You guys let me be myself, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Now, if I may,
here we go.
What you just it's nothing. But God damn it! What Gary just said reminds me of a lot of conversations I had while I was touring a lot. People would always come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're this dude in this band," and I said, "But I'm just a dude." I go to work 5 days a week, and on weekends I just happen to drive around parts of the country and play music, and you're just really into it. You don't understand that I'm just a guy. When I go see bands play and I talk to them, they're just some dudes that's how they make their money. And we're just a bunch of dudes in Anessa. And, we just happen to really like listening to us talk about crap. You know what I mean? People just, so we're really no different than you. And, you said, oh, you guys have this platform, and it's but you drew the show in which I would rush home from school to watch, and I would stay up late to watch. So it's it goes both directions.
Oh, please, don't get me wrong, Matt. I know I'm lucky where I'm at. I will never, ever, ever, ever bitch about anything in my life. I know I have a great platform. I know I have a great little soapbox to stand up. I have people who follow me. I feel wonderful about that. But as well as I do, there are a million podcasts in the world, and they're just more and more and more and more and more. And when anyone, no matter what the podcast is, tell you, come be a guest, I believe the guest has an obligation to go on there and be engaging, make people think, whatever, bring something to the table that they can offer. And I view every single opportunity like this as a great opportunity to reach just 1, 2 more people even. It doesn't matter. It's an opportunity to get a message out there, and I love it. And as far as your band analogy, you're in a band, so even when you're up there on stage playing, you are performing something that someone is enjoying. A group of people right in front of you are enjoying, and they're loving it, and they're digging it, and you're bringing something positive to the scene. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but the point is, we're just some people that got lucky enough that people show up and listen to us talk, and people like you find it as some sort of honor to hang out with us.
And thank you for.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, the honor definitely goes both ways.
All right. On that note, I call this meeting of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club adjourned. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dad.
What?
Bye, Dad.
It's like listening for the gavel, and I kind of heard it, but it sounds like you were hitting a piece of steak with it. I wasn't sure what was going on.
It was the meat tenderizer.